Apprenticeships were on everybody's agenda and to the run up to the general election. Every party spoke about the increase in apprenticeship numbers, and we ended up with a target of 3 million apprenticeships by the year 2020. If you actually look at how that works out, at the present moment, 1 in 3 apprenticeships don't actually complete. So this government in 2020 will be left with 1 million failures. We've actually got to really look at how we count the numbers with apprenticeships. Is it the starts or is it the completions? For me, it's actually where we look at where we're failing as a sector, and it's that 30% that don't complete. Why aren't they completing? What are the reasons? Are they giving poor careers advice? Is the employer giving the wrong information when they take on an apprentice? Does the learner actually know what they're getting into? All this area needs to be looked at, because we can't actually take on board failure of 30% of apprenticeships. There's a lot of public funding and the money could be spent elsewhere. We've also got to look at where apprenticeships are actually happening, and they're actually happening for people that are already employed. And we can't carry on doing that with actually 35% of apprenticeships are only at the higher level, 50% at a level 2, but the majority of apprenticeships are actually for people over 25 that have already been employed for a number of years in a business. There's no progression. They're actually getting an apprenticeship for skills they already have, not for what they're going to do an apprenticeship. So we really got to look at this. Is this an apprenticeship or should it be called something else? In time gone by, it used to be called train to gain. But when that funding went, employers actually jumped on the bandwagon and used the apprenticeship funding. This drives away from what apprenticeships should really be about, and it's actually getting young people on their first step as an alternative route to university. University, we should not be seen as in competition with university, because actually, as we said before, most apprenticeships are actually in level 2, not at higher apprenticeships to start with. And actually, higher apprenticeships are a very small majority of the number of apprenticeships that we're actually doing in this sector at the present time. So we need to look at, is this a solution for youth unemployment? At the moment, 16% of young people, 16 to 18, that's just approximately 750,000 people, are unemployed. We also have a massive skill shortage in this country, with sectors saying that we need tens of thousands of entrants a year. But if you just look at construction alone, last year there was only 16,000 apprenticeships in this country. ICT was 11,000. But we had 1.8 million applications last year for 166,000 vacancies. Well, if every organisation has to put their vacancy on the National Apprenticeship System, this will show you how many apprenticeships are actually already done by people already employed. So this needs to address. We need to look at the website where the National Apprenticeship site now sits, because actually it's not user-friendly. You have to re-applicate. We need to spend the money on that. We have a new careers enterprise company whose remit we're still looking at, even though they were given £20 million in December. How are they suddenly going to come out in September and enter all schools to give careers advice to young people? So these are the areas that we've got to look at if we really do want to make a difference to apprenticeships in the near future. As it stands, to reach this target, we need over 1,600 apprenticeships every day. In a week, that's 11,538 apprentices, and we're not getting there at the moment, not with the failure rate or non-completion rate of apprenticeships. Just over a third, 35% of apprenticeships are advanced or high levels. Since 2010, 42% of apprenticeships starts have been for the age of over 25. And this is something you've got to look. 56% of the applications, but only 20% of starts are for young people, where actually over 25 made up 7% of applications, accounted for 30% of apprenticeships. So we've really got to address these skill shortages, and actually are apprenticeships for young people off on their careers, or actually are we using apprenticeships as a numbers game to give higher figures so the government can say they have overreached their targets and have massive numbers? Well, actually, if you look at young people, it has not increased in over 10 years, and we're flatlining at 5%. So these areas have to be addressed. Otherwise, apprenticeships are failing and we're in decline. They're not increasing year by year, they're actually in decline. The same as they are in Germany, where apprenticeships are in decline. In the past, we had the PLA system, which actually worked. It's very similar to what is used in across Europe, the PLA system. So we cancelled that, and we had massive firms drop out of doing apprenticeships. but actually worked because there was constant training. We need to actually look at trailblazers as well, because most people, and especially if you went into an SME, wouldn't actually understand what a trailblazer scheme is. And also, how many small SMEs have been actually invited to be part of putting these standards together? Not many. It's like a token gesture. Trailblazers, if actually all our apprenticeships, and the majority have been done by SMEs, should have more input from SMEs on what an apprenticeship scheme is. We also need to look at the apprenticeship wage, because at the moment, last year, 30% of apprentices that should have been on the apprentice minimum wage didn't even receive that. So let's concentrate on our efforts and making sure that our apprenticeship system is actually a quality system for young people, and for young people on the first step of their career, and it's not being used by companies to train already employed staff who are not gaining anything from being an apprentice.